Now turn up.
All right, every year I get asked, what does 103, what does that compare to 106? What does 102 compare to 107? What is 102 and 105 compared to 101? What is the value of each and every Dynasty rookie draft pick? I will go through that with all these different analytics combined together to make it nice and easy and simple for you. But this is Marcus Dynasty Simple Dads. We have a DeAndre Swift signed jersey. All you have to do is be subscribed for a chance to win. All right, we're doing the Dynasty rookie draft picks. Of course, in probably about a month here, your rookie draft may be starting, and maybe it's in July, maybe it's in August. But this is a very, very important thing. It took me a long time to come up with this. I was one of those obsessed, well, this is why I have the channel, but I was one of those obsessed people that was like, I'm at 105. What is a legitimate value to get up to 103? Now, this is based off of strictly numbers and not based off of tiers or anything like that. So there is some loopholes and there is some issues with this philosophy, but I took almost all the Dynasty calculators that I could find. All the ones that some value the top 3 picks more than the other picks, and some have a lesser value of it. And I just combined everything. And I made it to a nice, easy number. So 1, if you follow this screen, so I'm going to scoot over here. 1 is 1,000 points. And so I did all the different values of all these different calculators, and I did based off of 1 as being 1,000 points. And now we have to go to what are the rest of the picks worth? So as you see, 2 is worth 848. So if you're trying to pick 2 to 1, simple math, you need 152 more points to make it a equal trade analytically, number-wise, based off of calculators. That is the gist of it. So 152 would be, well, we'll just say you overpay a little bit and you get pick 12. So pick 102 and 112 gets you 101. And I've used this calculator before because there are times that, yes, tiers make a big difference. Like in this upcoming draft, if you haven't followed me at all, tiers, I believe after about 106, there's a drop-off. So yeah, maybe these 101 through 106 have a little bit more weight versus 107 and below. But this is just an average draft, an average calculation versus every single pick. And so there was a time where I was at 105 and I said, well, how do I get to 102? 105 is 489 and 102 is 848. And so I needed an extra, 400? So I needed basically pick 6 as well. And I didn't have pick 6. But if you compare to pick 2 versus pick 5 and pick 6, it's a very similar and equal balance. So if you're one of those that had Jamar Chase and you were picking at 2 last year, Javonte Williams versus compared to maybe a Devontae Smith, and I'm trying to think what 5 or 6 would have been. Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle versus a Jamar Chase. That would have been the trade in theory, or Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle versus Javonte. This, again, is just strictly numbers that have all been compiled together. And I think it's so you talk about the NFL draft. And so the NFL draft has their trade calculator sheet. Hey, if I have pick 246 and I want to move up, or you get all these players, you get these teams that trade 3 first, they get up to 102. San Francisco made a big trade. The Bears made a big trade for Trubisky. How do they come up with these trade calculators? Well, they come up with these very simple numbers that go with players, and some draft classes are weighted a little bit higher towards the top, and some are not. But eventually there's an average that peaks out, and this would be the average class, average different players per position. And so it gives you an idea of, like, I've seen people go, oh, well, I have I have 203, which let's just say that's 15, and 210. How far does that get me? So 203, that's 109 points, and then 210 was at 37 points. So really, that doesn't get you much. That gets you up maybe a couple spots, maybe 2 spots. But I've also seen players go, hey, I have 110. Should I accept that trade? Well, 110 is worth 230. No, you should not accept that trade. You should be asking for more. And you can do that, and you can do that based off of calculators. You can based off of like, hey, like I think that that's a more valuable pick. But I think this is just a very, very simplistic version that I have calculated off of all these values and numbers. And there are times that I'll be like, I'm willing to lose a trade because I know with, let's say I have pick 6, and pick 6 is what? 414, and that's the end of a tier for me. And so if somebody offers me 10 and 11, that's 230 and 200, that's 430 points. I still might say no because I may be like, well, there's a tier there. And you have to understand that this is just numbers that are analytic that have compiled through a bunch of different things, but it doesn't mean necessarily you still have to follow that and be like, you know what, I want somebody to continue to overpay, and they're gonna have to overpay significantly if they want to get into that tier. And so that's where sometimes I'll even write like different colors too, be like, oh, maybe a draft last year, I'll be like, oh, 1 through 3, it's yellow, and then we get orange and red. Like, hey, these are the different tiers. If I'm taking a jump, like I want to value that, or if I'm taking, let's say 7 through 14 are a tier, or 7 through, that's too big of a tier, 7 through 12 are a tier, and I'm getting 12 and something to get up to 10, like that, I'm still within the same tier. So just, again, I know this is a long roundabout saying that this is just a simple chart that I think people should have, and they should at least look at briefly if they're trying to trade picks and be like, hey, are we in the general, are we in the same stratosphere? Like, hey, you're trading 8 and 9, which is 564 points for 6. Like, or we're trading 5 and 9, 489, 262 for 1. Like, is that worth it? No, according to analytics, at least, you're pretty far off for that type of value. And of course, people are going to value certain things, especially right around draft time. Those higher picks, those Breece Halls, those Kenneth Walkers, those Garrett Wilsons, those Drake Londons, like those are players that are going to be more valued highly when it comes to draft period of time. So it's going to be harder to get into those, especially if they find really good landing spots. People are already basically pre-drafted in their head which players they're going to get. So again, I just want to point this out. This is a video I did last year as well that I thought people enjoyed, and people were like, hey, I didn't realize, where'd you come up with all this stuff? I would like to try to give you the method to the madness, but basically I took all the calculators, which is a lot of different calculators, and I added it all up to, gosh, I think it was like 35,000 points, and whatever 35,000 points was, that equaled 1,000. And then anything else, let's say 848, whatever that was, so 30,000 points. So I took 30,000 divided by that 35,000, and that's where we got the 848 points. So it's taking a ton of different calculators together, and that's how this method came about. A simple version of like, I just want to know, are we in the same stratosphere? Am I offering a fair market value, or am I not? Or am I overpaying and still willing to overpay, but yet you're still saying, no, you need more? Like, am I worth to... Is it in my analytic mindset, without having names to numbers, is that worth it? All right. So again, this is Marcus Nice Simple Devs. Peace out. See you soon.